She's done a lot of public art in the community. I want to especially recognize our 5th anniversary mural that's in our building in downtown Olympia. So if you've been in our building in the last year and a half or so, you might have seen this big triptych 3-part panel on the wall right when you come in the door. And that was a beautiful community collaboration that Jennifer coordinated and worked really hard at for a long time. In fact, I think some of the names of the people here on this call are people that participated on that project. So Jennifer moved to Washington in 1988 to attend college and quickly became rooted in the Olympia area. She now lives and works about 30 miles from Olympia in East Grays Harbor County. In 2000, she discovered mosaic and it became her medium of choice. Over the past 20 years, Jennifer has developed her mosaic technique and style. Her work is split between teaching, commissions, public art, and community art events. Having many different projects in progress at any one time helps her maintain interest and keep growing with her art. She generally has at least 3 active projects in her studio at a time, ranging from purely decorative to abstract to intricate realism. And she is able to maintain momentum by moving from one to another each day. Or after several hours of work. She has mosaic installed throughout the US in 2 airports, the Prudential Center in Boston, the Time Warner Center in New York City, several shopping centers around the country, and one in the Banff Springs Hotel in Alberta, Canada. Closer to home, she has public, corporate, and private installations in and around Olympia with public art projects throughout Western Washington. Her website is jkmosaic.com and her Instagram handle is @jen.kuhns, JENN.KUHNS. Okay, well, Jen, thank you for being our guinea pig on this process. And I'm really excited that you're willing to do this. And I'm also excited to listen to this presentation. So without further ado, welcome, Jennifer.
Hi, everybody. So I am really grateful to be asked to do this. This is going to be fun, and I'm excited to see the whole series of presentations by the artists that have come through Arbutus. And so what I put together for this is just kind of a retrospective that follows my path as a mosaic artist from where I was 20 years ago to where I am now. And so I'm going to be clicking to a share screen for a PowerPoint presentation, and then I'll just talk through it. And I was realizing late last night when I was still tweaking it that it's probably too long. And so I'm going to go fast to make sure that there's still time for a Q&A at the end. So there may be times I just kind of fly past some things, and so just kind of hold tight, and I can always flip back to things if you want me to review something that just kind of went past and you want to know more about it if we have time. So I'm going to click to share screen and the slideshow. So how do I do that? Okay, share, and then it wouldn't let me have this be on slideshow when I did this. So, okay, now I've got, all right, so I'm just gonna kind of flip through the early stages, and hopefully, the other thing is I wasn't always sure how to make it, how to cluster things in a way that made sense, so it might jump around a little bit, and it's just how my brain works. But so starting out, I've always done artwork. I've always painted and drawn, and I worked in collage, and I worked in ceramics, and I did bookmaking and jewelry making, and I would just kind of jump from one thing to another, and I would show my work and even sell my work, but I never took to something long enough to really get good at it. I was a dabbler and into my 20s, and these are some of the kinds of portraits I would do. And I went through a whole phase where I did these Jastaman illustrations from the 1500s where I was really exploring women in art and women's bodies and depictions of women in mythology and otherwise. So then at 30, I discovered mosaic. And initially all it was I was just busting up pieces of tile and sticking them onto things. And I wasn't trying to make pictures. I was just using them more for framework for mirrors and functional objects. And so this is an example of the kind of thing where I would paint a picture onto a tile and then surround it with the mosaic, because I didn't know how to make a design with mosaic. And this is me trying to start and very clumsily turning tile into pictures. And again, this was from a show I did at the Painted Plate, where they had me use their tiles, their scraps, which were bright and colorful, and I loved that. And I didn't have access to colorful tile. Now this is a very blurry old picture of some of my first work when I just discovered glass, but I didn't know how to cut it. I just loved the feel of the glass and the color of it and the luminosity of it. And then I started learning how to cut it. And so this is me doing an early commission. And that's my my little girl on my back, who is turning 17 on Saturday. So that's how long ago that was. While she was really little, I turned to sewing. I really couldn't get in the studio. I was just too absorbed with childcare. And so I put this on here because I know a lot of Olympia people might remember me from all of the little festivals and bazaars selling. I would sell these a lot. Recycled sweater clothing was my thing for years. And then as she got older, I got back into mosaic. And this is examples of early work as I really gravitated toward glass, and I was learning how to cut, getting a little better at making pictures out of the glass. So I'm just going to kind of flip through some of the early work. This is my first public art commission. It's at Evergreen. It was a memorial to Jacinta McCoy, who worked with me there when I worked there. And just more little by little, you can see that my designs are getting a little more sophisticated. I'm gaining some control over the material. And then I'm going to show you a contrasting picture to this. This was an early commission. I think it was around 2007 that I did this design. I really like the design, and I was really in love with it when I did it. But a few years later, I had gained a lot of skills. I had joined the Society of American Mosaic Artists and been going to conferences and absorbing a lot of information about how mosaic is done. And so in 2013, I made this one. It's the same design and to the same scale, but my skills had really improved by then. In 2007, I took Enterprise for Equity's program, and I graduated with a business plan and ready to launch my business. And I also at the same time got selected to be on the cover of Olympia's Arts Walk, Spring Arts Walk guide, which was really well received. So I got a lot of nice attention, and I ended up getting, I think, 16 commissions that year. And my business name was Cosmic Blue Monkey Designs at the time. I was also learning how to carve concrete and work and pour concrete with the goal of, combining concrete and mosaic, which I've done a little bit of. And then I've just got some pictures of sort of the progress as well of still exploring women and mythology, but also using it as a medium for mosaic. This is a more detailed shot of that one, showing the intricacy of the mosaic pieces. And again, this was actually a collaboration with Marco Hernandez, who owns Lit Fuse up on 4th Avenue. And this is glass on glass, this one also, but with light behind it, it glows. This is one of a set of cabinet doors that are lit from inside. And you can see if you look at those birds, how my ability to control glass is in these pictures is getting a little better. And enter my interest in taking mosaic into an architectural setting and making it into a surface treatment, which is the thing that I love most about mosaic, is that it's versatile. It's durable, you can wash it, you can touch it, and you can put it into architectural environments. And it's art that lasts. It doesn't fade and doesn't fall off if it's done right. So this is my living room. This is the mosaic in Swing Wine Bar. They were my first real corporate commission. So this was 2007. And they also had me do, oh, this is when it's not backlit. And they had me do the sign for the front and mosaic inlays that are lit from inside that are in their counters. This is a tile, a slate tile installation that's in a home in Yelm, where you can kind of see in this picture that there's a 16-foot tall tree, but this shows a little more detail. And this is a little bit of the process of how it was being done. And then they had me do this fireplace around as well. And that's a little more detail of that, just to see kind of close up all the different kinds of stone and tile mixed in. Olympia Pediatrics in 2010 hired me to do some work on the entryway. And my favorite part of this one is that it's glass on glass, so when the light shines through it, it actually sends that green color all into the inside of the foyer. I made these stair risers for my own home, and that led to a big commission. This is only about a third of this set of stairs for a private home in Steamboat Island area. And they had me do more all around their property after this. This is for the Federal Way Senior Center in Federal Way. They put in an organic community garden, and they had this commission to celebrate it. And then they had me make this glass on glass panel that is in a sign that's out front where people enter. In about 2011, I took a class on facilitating community mosaic. That became something that I just really wanted to incorporate into my practice. And that led to, in 2012, doing the Artesian Well project, which is when I met Susan, who's watching. That's Susan actually right there in the foreground. So this, we had over 200 people participate. People made the fish ahead of time. We put the fish on the stanchions, and then we spent 6 weeks installing it. And people were just invited, everyone was invited to come down and help fill in the background. And when it was first done, it looked like this. It's not quite like that anymore, but it's not too bad. I made this with Lawton Elementary School in Seattle, Washington. The kids in 18 different classes made the designs, and then I put the panels together, and this was to celebrate their 100th anniversary. This is a little closer up of some of the pictures that they drew, which were pretty fun. I did this project with City of Auburn. I went to Les Gove Park one Saturday, and I worked with kids all day, and we filled in most of the mural, and then I finished it up and delivered it back. And you can see on the far left that they have it installed in their Parks and Rec department. This is a project I did in 2017 with the City of Bellingham, kind of similar to the Lawton Elementary project. I went to a park one weekend and I worked with kids. I had them draw themselves and things that would go in a garden. And I'll just go back to, it took me about 6 months to make them into mosaic, and then I installed them on these light post bases. And then I started working on the diversity murals, which was something that came to me after the shooting in Orlando. And so that little design in the middle square was my concept. And people helped make all these squares. I had people locally making them. People in other states started sending them to me. I even got some from Australia and Scotland and Canada. And I put them all onto the wall of the high school in Shelton. And with the help of some of the kids, and had one kid who painted on the figure that's blowing kisses, and then the kisses are the hearts. And while we were still doing this one, we also launched one for Orlando. And with that one, we ended up with over 1,000 hearts being sent from all over the world. And it's become, if you see up in the right, there's somebody doing a selfie. It's become a real selfie spot. People use it in commercials. They get their wedding photos taken in front of it. It's been kind of exciting to see what's happened with it. And then this is the project that Stacy talked about in the beginning, where we made the triptych together, and it's installed on the walls. And there's Susan again. This we did last summer. This was hosted by Arbutus. It was funded by the City of Olympia, and we worked with people at the Tiny House Village on Plum Street. So people made little houses, and I put all the houses together into one whole mosaic, and that's installed kind of in the courtyard area of the little complex. Then we did this one in the fall at Arbutus, and this is a bench. So I had people place pieces inside of a mold just on top of a template, and then I poured that mold into a concrete bench, which we donated to Monarch Sculpture Park. And I don't have a picture of it there, but it came out nice. And it came out like this. So I ended up doing this in February. I went up to Auburn and I worked with kids in an after-school program, and we made 3 benches. And those I've been slowly getting poured and getting the legs poured. And as soon as things open back up, I'll be delivering them up to the city of Auburn to be installed. And over winter as well, I've been working on the Westport quilt mural, which is going to go on the side of this building overlooking the marina. There's a quilt shop inside of the building there, and we've been working together to make this sort of nautical quilt themed mural together. And you can see I've been doing community participation activities where people have been helping to make the squares. I still have 1 foot of sections that go around the outside of that middle section that's done. And we've done half the fundraising to get this done, and it's kind of just it's suspended right now because we can't really do fundraising and we can't do very much with it, but I'm really hoping we can find a way to get it finished by summertime. I wanted to talk about, I took workshops from Carol Shelkin back around 2011, and this is a blurry picture of her work, but just to convey that she has a painterly style in mosaic, which was really fascinating to me, her use of color and her way of making realistic faces. So I took these workshops, and this is one of my workshop projects from her class, and that's another one. And then that led me in another direction. So I've kind of gone in 2 different directions with realism and then really stylized work. And these are some examples of the realism. Pamela, I should have you, if I start getting close to that 45 minutes, or like, give me a 10-minute heads up, because I'm not sure how much time I'm taking. I'm just going to flip through these portraits. This one, I will say, was one of my most ambitious. It's my sister-in-law who passed away, and it was installed in the library of the school where she worked. And I'm really proud of it. The one on the right is Edmonia Lewis, and it was purchased by the city of Seattle for their permanent collection, which was exciting. This one is actually at Arbutus on the wall, and it's available for sale, and part of the proceeds goes to Arbutus. So, you know, just saying. And then kind of back to the more stylized work that I do, whether it's more this kind of abstract patterning, or just sort of whimsical fun. It takes a lot less brain work and effort than the realism, but this is my backsplash. This is the whole backsplash. It's 28 square feet. A little more detail. A floor inlay, window, more privacy screens that are glass on glass. A lot of people are familiar with this one. It was on the cover of the Olympian one year, and it ended up being part of the Auburn Sculpture Gallery. And now it's back in my possession, so I still have it. And these are just more of my fanciful, folk arty, stylized kinds of mosaic, which these ones both ended up on calendar pages for Amber Lotus Publishing. Definite folk art interest and influence. This is one that I still have that I really love. This was 2014. I was part of a team with Janice Arnold and David Tuthill. He's a metal worker, and he made the base, and I put mosaic on the base. And it was to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Vancouver branch of Washington State University. So this is their commencement mace. In 2014, I was hired by L'Occitane, and they had me fabricate these marble floors, which I then would cut into sections like this and ship them to the different locations to be installed. And really, that's where, when I say that I've got work all over the country, it's mostly this, but it definitely, I learned so much from doing these. It was really hard work. I made 14 of these floors in 1 year. And this one's the one in the Prudential Center in Boston. And I went there to see it and take pictures of it. Then they hired me in late 2014 to do a mural. So this was my first large scale project. So it all got laid out on big tables in my studio. And here I am cutting it up. I've got it face taped and getting it ready to ship off. And this is in Alpharetta, Georgia, where we installed it on the second story of a building. That's my friend Christy Rose Millich. She's a mosaic artist in Denver, and she flew out there to help me put this together. And this is how it looks once the store was finished and they framed it in. And then they had me do an identical one for the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, which was a story in and of itself. It was an adventure. In 2015, in November, they had me make another mural for a shopping center in Walnut Creek, California. This is me and my friend working late into the night, and this was us the next day. So in 2 days, we got this thing installed. And I went back after they finished the shopping center to take pictures of it. So this is what it looks like all framed in. Mud Bay Pet Stores, in 2017, they had me make this mural for their 30th anniversary, showing Mud Bay with a beloved collie overlooking it. At the same time, I was working with the South Capitol Neighborhood Association, and I made one of the banners that you can see on Capitol Way. This is a private home on the west side. It's a shower installation. That same year, that summer, I installed this panel. It's a memorial panel at the South Kitsap Skate Park Association, or for the Skate Park Association. It honors Mike Vandenberg, who helped make the park possible. And this shows some of the process. There's how I, put the design together, the panels in my studio, and then I took them and installed them on location in Port Orchard. This is a shower, an outdoor shower made of glass. These are some things in my house that were put in to cover damage done by the dog that you can see on the right when he clawed through the walls. This is my bathroom that I did after a trip to Thailand. This is a hearth surround for a private home on the west, or on the east side of Olympia, all made of tile. And in 2018, I installed this for the city of Bellingham. There are 2 sidewalk inlays on each end of a residential area. I made this, this is for Music Out Loud, was a series where different artists were hired to do sidewalk inlays throughout Olympia and it was made for the city of Olympia. And this one honors Vern Eck, who was instrumental in getting the performing arts scene started in Olympia. And it's in front of the Washington Center, if you're familiar with Olympia, which he really made happen. And this leads me to where what I've been working on lately. Right before the pandemic, when everything shut down, I had just started working on this project, bringing these boulders up to my studio from Oregon. And I hired Ed Salerno, and he's part of the Tenino Stone Carvers, who also work with Arbutus. And he came out and carved these inlays into the rock for me, and I started putting mosaic in. So I just finished doing all the mosaic and getting it ready. And again, as soon as the city opens up, I'm going to be taking these back down and installing them on a heritage trail that's in the city of Tigard. This I put in because it really, to me, this represents me and my personal style and perspective on the world more than most of my work. The bright colors and the sort of stylized nature of the design is really reflective of me. And this is a picture of my studio, which it's not done, but I've been slowly getting panels put up one by one. And that's the end of my presentation. I may have gone too fast. Did I go too fast? I was just worried I would run out of time. And that's it.
That's great, Jen. Thank you so much. It's 1:30 now, so we can just
slowed down a little bit. So I can go back to things too if anybody has questions about them. I don't know who's watching.
I did see a question or a couple questions now from Alan. Alan, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and just ask Jen your questions?
Sure. My first question, thanks for sharing your mastery. One is, do you sign or indicate you in your work? I know of quite a bit of your Olympia work, and I've seen other work of yours, and I thought, oh, this is spreading, but I didn't realize it was you. Do you sign them?
I have a little sort of symbol that's me in usually the lower right-hand corner when I do sign them.
Well, I'll look for them. And my other question was, how long have you supported yourself as an artist? Did this grow out of just, you know, the art that came out of you, or was it a plan, I'm going to be an artist?
I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would be an artist. You know, it's one of those things that you hope that maybe someday you'll be able to support yourself and do art as a habit or oh, hi Preeti. Oh, sorry. or as a side gig or something. So when I had my daughter, I had been working at Evergreen, and it kind of coincided with my position was eliminated at the same time that I was trying to go back to work when she was 3 months old, and it wasn't happening. It was really impossible. And after that, I was trying to get part-time work that was flexible enough to both do my artwork and raise her. And it was actually costing more than I was earning in most cases. And I also started getting interest in commission work about at the same time. So that's why in 2007, I took the Enterprise for Equity program. And if you're not familiar with Enterprise for Equity, they're local and they're a nonprofit, and they help low-income people start small businesses.
I know Lisa well.
Yeah, she's amazing. A lot of the businesses that are well known in downtown Olympia came through that program and were able to start that way. It's not an easy program, and you leave with all these skills and a business plan, and not only that, but really the encouragement. It's a very encouraging organization to be part of, and I left it having decided, okay, I'm going to try to do this. And so it wasn't until, let's see, 2007, my daughter was 4 by then. One more year and she was starting school. So I had longer periods of time in the day that I could actually focus and be in the studio and get work done. And it kind of steamrolled from there. I will say making a living as an artist can be an exaggeration. I couldn't possibly do it if I wasn't married to someone who supports us when I can't. So it ebbs and flows. We can't live on his income alone. He's a teacher, but it definitely it's that steady, pays the bills income. And then whenever mine comes in, it pays off the debt for, the orthodontic bills and the school clothes and, the drill team fees and that kind of thing. So it goes a long way. We couldn't get by without either one of us, but mine is the kind of income that some years I make barely anything. And then this year with the Tiger Project, I'm one of the few people right now who isn't devastated by what's happening, luckily.
Well, speaking of teachers, let me ask one last question. I'll leave it to others. Do I remember you as a substitute teacher at Lincoln?
No.
No. Okay.
We do
Some
have,
other path.
we do have a few more questions, Jennifer, in the chat. There's JJ Lindsay who's asking about materials. If you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, and then after JJ is Sorit.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, first of all, your work is so amazing and I love it, love it. So thank you for this workshop. And also Lisa, I can't even qualify how much she's given to our community. It's so amazing that she's here. So I agree with you there. A couple things about your tile. I'm wondering if where do you get most of your tile and your glass? You order that, or do you ever buy it anywhere local?
For many years, one of the things there's a lot that I had to leave out of my story, but for the first all the years of doing artwork, I was kind of branded as a recycled artist. So I would go to recycled art festivals and I would just take whatever stuff I put together from whatever I could find. And then as my interest in mosaic grew, I started asking around. I would always introduce myself to the glass artist that I would meet. And I would say, what do you do with your scrap? And I developed relationships. So I would pick up scrap buckets from different artists. Nowadays, that's harder. Other people are doing it too. There are a lot of teachers in schools, and most of the glass artists I know are already giving their glass away. I still manage to get a lot of it from, somebody passed away and they had a whole garage full of glass, or somebody can't do it anymore because they developed arthritis and they want to give away their glass. And so I'll go pick up glass sometimes from people, or they'll bring it to me. I have no shortage of glass because of that. But when I have a big commission and I need specific colors, then I do have to buy glass. In which case I like to buy it from Northwest Art Glass, which, it's a 2.5 hour drive for me up to Redmond, but it's a great resource, especially because they have this big room in the back where they have all their seconds and scraps, and you can buy it by the pound. And so, and I started teaching up there this last year. So I have a relationship with them that is nice.
Cool, thank you. And also, if you're using the glass that you see through, like say those more stained glass type of pieces, are you still using grout to keep those together, or are you using lead, or what are you using for those?
I'm using grout to fill the interstices. I'm using an adhesive to attach it to the glass.
So all of those are attached to another piece of glass, the ones we see standing and clear, or that you can see through.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. Grout only fills interstices. It's not adhesive. So
sure.
it just makes it so that yeah, it just fills it so you can clean it, and it's more durable when it's grouted. Some of my
Right.
grouted, but it's only when it's like fine art panels, then I can get away with not grouting. Like the photorealistic pieces usually aren't grouted.
I see. And one more question. Sorry, I'm dominating here. Do you have any way for us to get a list of the places where all your pieces are so that we could do a kind of live tour? Does that exist?
I don't know. I'd have to put that together.
Oh, okay.
And I mean,
Yeah, and
there
I'm
are
not asking you to do that. I just thought maybe you already had one.
a lot of the Olympia stuff that I have is in private homes too. So
I see. Okay, and oh, you know, one more, the sculpture garden at Monarch, you have a piece there.
there's just that bench that I made at Arbutus last fall, and I haven't even seen it there. I don't know how they mounted it, or because I didn't do legs. I didn't have a leg mold at the time. Hi, you're on my Zoom presentation. So
Okay, thanks. Thanks very much.
yeah.
Hi there, I'm Alice. My son changed my name to something else, so I apologize for that. I was just wondering if you had a preference of the materials that you work with. I know that you do tile and glass. Do you have one that you prefer? And then if so, why? Thanks.
Glass. I like glass. I've gravitated more and more to glass, and I've also reached a point where I think I need to cull all the other stuff I've collected pretty much, or used it on something, because I just have, for one, I have too much stuff in my studio. It's pure chaos in there. But glass, I love the color selection. Over the years, I've developed the most skill and control with glass. So it really comes down to that. It's what I know, and it's what I work best with. And there is a certain point as an artist where you have to exercise some restraint, and I haven't been good at that. So I think I need to, I know that what I pick up when I want to do a project is glass. And so I need to just focus on that. Did I lose you guys? Like there is nothing.
No,
Oh, okay.
I'm hearing you at least.
Okay, for a little while, it just went dead.
I
No,
think it's because we're muting ourselves.
yeah, we're all here. We're all here. It looks like Donna Ray has a question, another materials question for you.
Donna Ray?
Let's see.
Here I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me okay? Okay. So is there a specific type of thin set that you like to use when you're doing a mosaic with mirror?
There's not really a thin set that's compatible with mirror. Mirror is tricky. If you're okay with mirror corroding and losing the mirror on it over time, and so some people are cool with that. They like it. Then you don't have to worry. You just stick it in anything. But if you don't want the backing to come off of it, you really need to use a mirror-friendly adhesive. Silicone is supposed to be good with mirror. So if you were working outside, I would use that. But I don't have a thin set that works with mirror. It just the chemistry of it just doesn't work.
Yeah. I've been using GE silicone too, but
Yeah.
it's just not my favorite thing to work with. And so I was just wondering if you had something magical that you do but it sounds like that's it.
So I'll say what I do. I just don't hold me to it. There's no guarantee here. But what I will do when I have mirror in a bigger piece, when it's small pieces, it's kind of a pain in the butt. I'll spray it with a polyurethane adhesive, or a polyurethane sealant. Sorry. It hasn't been time tested long enough, because it can take like 5 years before you start to notice the backing coming off of the mirror. But that's something that I've tried. I can't say for sure that it'll work though.
Thank you.
Hey, I have one more question. Are there any local classes that teach beginning mosaic? Do you ever do any, or does Arbutus or others?
We have done them. And I have started teaching on Zoom since all this happened, and I've been having a pretty good turnout. I taught a class right before this, and that was a Ondamento class, which is kind of, you'd have to know mosaic, but last week I taught installation techniques, and that's about, ways of working on mesh and then taking it to another location and installing it. And I haven't, there on my website, I have a few, I think I have 2 workshops offered. One is a glass on glass. It's a beginner glass on glass workshop. And I'm trying to figure out a couple other beginner workshops. It's just, there are some logistical things about, like, I'm putting together kits, supply kits for students. And I don't always have all the supplies to send people, but I'm getting them listed.
What is your website, Jennifer?
It's www.jkmosaic.com. And if you go there and you look at, it says, I think, workshops and events, or events and workshops. And my web person has gotten me all set up in the last like 2 weeks. I now have e-commerce, and you can register for workshops directly there. And it's been kind of amazing, actually. I can reach more people, and I can reach people all over the place. I can charge them less because my overhead is less, and it takes less time because we can spend a couple hours on something and then they can work on it on their own time. And there's just this pandemic pushed me out of my comfort zone and got me to try something new that I wouldn't have tried otherwise. And it's actually turned into a really great thing.
That's cool. If you wanted to start beginning mosaic and you wanted to just acquire a few pieces of glass, can you suggest or recommend a place? What would the closest place be to be able to do that?
I don't know if Bill at Mansion Glass is selling glass. I know that he has at times sold scrap glass by the ounce or pound. Otherwise, I really only know the place in Redmond, Northwest Art Glass, but they do ship, if that helps. And you can also go online, and if you look up mosaic supplies, there are a ton of different suppliers. Delphi out of Lansing sells glass packs with different sizes. I'm working with Northwest Art Glass. We just in the past 2 days, we started corresponding about having them put together like a box or pack of scrap glass that people could order.
Right. It's nice to be able to see and touch things sometimes when you want to pick things out. I used to do that with stained glass. And did you, for some reason it kind of garbled. Did you say Mansion Glass?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because he's in downtown Olympia.
Right. Is he still over on a side street off of between like State and 4th, or where is he?
I think so.
Okay. It's that beautiful space, right? That has the upstairs and yeah. Okay.
And he was working with Arbutus, so there may be a way to connect with them through Arbutus.
And what is his name?
And then somebody has commented that Mandarin Glass in Lakewood sells glass scraps by the pound. And there's also Hobby Lobby.
I don't think so. Political choice there. But thank you.
If you don't care.
Right. Right.
Someone says Big M in Tacoma is a place you can get it.
Cool. Thank you. And what did you say the name of the Mansion Glass? His name is what?
Bill.
Bill. Okay. Thank you.
Bill Hillman. This is Stacy jumping. Bill Hillman. And I know he doesn't really sell retail. I mean, he's an artist. He has a studio in town. He just happens to work with a lot of glass, so he has some. But I don't know if he really wants a lot of people coming there to buy. And I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, you could try, but it'd probably be good to find a more legitimate resource.
Maybe there will be a way in time that we could put something together and have kits available at Arbutus once things start back up.
Yeah. I was going to say that too. We always we have tried to have a little retail store in the past. It just took a lot of labor. We couldn't really, muster the staffing for it. But we're having a second wind on that and thinking maybe we should do an online store. So we can, I think it would be really easy for us once we got a store up and running to have, starter packets. And I love the idea of having starter packets of all kinds of crafts for people, and then they can, reach out to the artists for more in-depth instruction, but they have a way to get started. And I love, Jennifer, that your success with your classes, your online classes, is going so well. One of the challenges that we've had is like supplying materials. How do you, because it's so expensive and you don't really know what people are going to want to make. And, that whole conversation about what to provide for students up front. But when you're teaching online classes, it's so clear that it's up to them to get their own materials. You're not shipping, stuff around. Anyway, it's, I'm really glad that that's working out.
Yeah. I spent $1,000 on supplies to put kits together before I got started. So it's not as straightforward as it might sound, but it's nice because somebody orders a class with a kit. I go out to the studio, I pack it up and print out a mailing label and just put it in the mail to them. There are just always some things I don't have and can't provide. Like when I taught installation techniques, I didn't have substrates for people. So they just had to get their own chunk of tile board or whatever it is they were going to put their mosaic onto. And one person just put it straight onto her concrete stoop. And so there'll just always be one or two little things that you have to source yourself. And I also give people discount code for Wits End Mosaic, where you can go and buy the extra things you need, and those will get shipped. So there are ways. I'm slowly figuring it out, how to collaborate with other people who supply those things to try to make it so they don't have to order it from 5 different places, but we can at least get people the things they need.
Jennifer, do you know the name of the park in Tigard that these rocks are going to end up?
It's called the Heritage, or is it called the Heritage Trail? I think it's an outdoor museum. So it was the original railroad for the whole, I can't think of the name of the whole trail running down the sort of the western side of the US. And Tigard grew out of that, having that stop on the trail for goods and services to pass through. And eventually—
Not the Lewis and Clark Trail. We're not part of that.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah.
But in any case, they built a new railroad, and the old railroad, the new railroad was more for passengers, and the old railroad just kind of passed away, and so that it was just left unused. So this last year or so, they turned it into this trail, and along the trail, and this is right downtown in Tigard, there's a little coffee shop that's also the Chamber of Commerce building that was the original train station there, and it starts there, and it goes about 3/4 miles into the residential area. And all along there, they have stations that talk about some of the people in the area who were instrumental in the development of the railroad and of the whole area, the town, the nature of the town. And their focus was on the non-white pioneers of the area. I mean, I think there's a German person that they talk about, but that's not something I had really seen before. So it was an exciting aspect of the project for me, that they talked about, the Chinese who, did the back-breaking work of building the railroad, and the Kalapuya people who were the original people in the area, and those kinds of stories. And then there are 3 different artists installing art along the trail as well.
That sounds great. I'd love to go to that. And you think just at some point after this, you're going to be installing those in the next few months?
Yeah, I'm supposed to meet with a landscaper on Friday who will help me place the boulders and do the landscaping around it. But I have to wait for the city itself to really open back up so that I can coordinate with Public Works to get it done. So I'm really hoping by the end of this month or June, I'd really like them to not be not that I don't like them in my driveway, but I will feel a lot better when they're not in my driveway and they're in place where they're supposed to be.
Thanks.
Any more questions out there? Does anybody want to chat with Jen?
Hi, Jen.
Well,
Hi.
I just want to say it was an awesome presentation. I love to see kind of like the history and the trajectory, because I didn't when we had it in bits and pieces. And I love somebody's idea about like having like a tour of Jen's work, like an Olympia walking tour, someplace like that. It was just mapped out where we could go and see your work, even up in Bellevue. You know, like I think that that would be kind of like a really fun thing that was just on a brochure or something, a flyer that people could do, and maybe have lunch with the artist or something like that. So anyways, that's just
The idea of having lunch with another human being.
I think that your work, there's so many different ways that it looks, like you don't just have one style. I like that you showed kind of one quintessential piece that was like you and your style. That was helpful. But I love that you have so many different looks in the way that you do the mosaic, you know, because there's different things that we're all drawn to. So there's something in mosaic for all of us. Like even that other lady who did water, like it looked like watercolor painting. You know, I would never have thought that was possible. So I learned a lot today just by watching this. So thank you. And also it's my birthday, so I'm spending my birthday lunch with you guys.
Oh,
That was really
happy
cool.
birthday.
Thank you for
birthday.
and I'm so glad to see that you know, like something really good has come out of what's going on as far as like the growth, the forced growth, even that we're all here on Zoom. And it's kind of really cool to be on a Arbutus Zoom call and to, you know, like there's a lot of possibilities with, just from the comfort of our home in our PJs. So.
You know, we thought a lot about whether it was worthwhile for us to do these Zoom calls with artists because, you know, Lady Gaga's out there doing this, and, you know, you can go and see, you know, I mean, the Metropolitan Art Operas, like who's going to come and do this? But then we know at Arbutus that people care about our, you know, the community around us, and you know, we're not all, you know, needing to watch the superstars. Like we want to connect with our neighbors, our friends, our people in our community, the artists who we know and see. And so all of your presence here, there's at least 20 on the call now, and I think it was up to 22 at one point, just shows me that we were right, that this was a useful thing. So this is our first artist talk. Pamela, do you know when the next ones are coming up?
Yes, and I just put that in the chat in case I didn't have a chance before people started checking out to announce it. But one of our longtime ceramic instructors, Nicole Gugliotti, will be giving an artist presentation and also a short little demo on ceramic texturing, surface texturing, and hand building. So that is this Friday, which is May 8th. And I need to double check the time. I think she's at 11 o'clock. Let me quickly check that, though I should have beforehand.
While she's checking, I'll mention also that I know we have another artist talk with our blacksmith, Kelly Rigg, coming up, and she'll probably tell us the dates for that too. And Monday, this coming Monday evening at 7 p.m., we're going to try doing our open mic on Zoom. So we normally have 40, 50 people that turn out for that, and I'm very curious to see how that goes. So I'm so glad we got to practice with you guys before I have the open mic on Monday. So the link and the information is on, well, actually Facebook, if it's not yet, it will be, and on our website. And if you've got our newsletter, it's in the newsletter that we mailed out last Sunday. So maybe Pamela's got more details now.
Well, I think I'm just catching a mistake. I thought Nicole's was for 3 o'clock, but on our website it's listed at 1 o'clock. So I apologize for the confusion. It is at 3 o'clock. I'm looking at my emails with her. So it's at 3 o'clock, but right now it's listed wrong on our website. I will change that right after we're done here. And then Kelly Riggs, the blacksmith, he will be doing a blacksmithing demo, and that's 1 week from today at 11 a.m. And I'm going to be, the links are on our website on the homepage, right when you go to our website. So that's easy to find. They'll also be on Facebook, and the day of, I'll change the link. We can only have one link, you know, on Instagram in our bio. So I'm changing it to the Zoom meeting the day of. So if you go there the day of, you can just quickly, if you're using your phone for these, you can just quickly link there as well.
Pamela, there was a chat question verifying Jan said the workshop with Nicole was listed at 1 p.m. in the newsletter also, so it should be 3?
It's 3 o'clock. Yeah. So Alan, we made a mistake. We had a typo. It's at 3 p.m. I will change that, and I'll send out a correction newsletter for that.
Awesome. Well, look at that. It's 2 o'clock. Jennifer, I am such a fan of your work, and for you as an artist and you as a person. You have given so much to Olympia and to the community members who've all gotten to participate in your artwork. I love how inclusive it is. It really is calls to me so much, your whole body of work. I love it. I love your portraits. I think they're so fascinating, and I'm grateful for your connection with Arbutus, and I love that you're just thriving right now. So thank you for coming in and doing this, and well, staying where you are and doing this. And I look forward to much more. Thanks everybody, and we'll see you at the next call.
Great.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Happy birthday.
Oh,
Happy birthday, Preeti.
bye guys. See you on the next one.